welcome to day 23 of Survivor 50 seasons in 50 days. I just finished watching Survivor South Pacific, which is basically just Survivor Redemption Island, except for more religion, and we're going to talk all about that. The word God might be used a fair few times throughout this recap. Today, I have two people that have never joined me for the marathon through the 6 years that I've done it, so I'm so glad to have them here one final time. I'm joined one by host, producer, creator of Stranded. We have Will. Thank you so much for joining. And then we have Ava, who just watched South Pacific for the first time within the last week. So, Ava, I guess starting with you, because you are a newer fan to the show, what was this season like for you as compared to a lot of the other seasons that you've seen before?
Obviously there was a lot of talk about God, and how I've watched Survivor is very out of order. So I think it was a lot of, oh my god, Cochrane, or oh my god, this person, oh my god, that person. I really like this season though. Yeah.
And Will, on your end, as a super fan, what is it about? Because you were, I think, the first, second, or third person I asked when the marathon got released, like, who do I? And you said South Pacific first. Like, that was your season. Why South Pacific?
Oh, dude, it's such an underrated season. Like even just before went live, like there's so many little memes, little moments that people will still reference. Also, like, and we're gonna jump into it a little bit more. Like, I feel like this is the first season where players started to meta game a little bit. It almost shifted the narrative and how players kind of approach the game. And basically what is it, format wise it's exactly like Redemption Island, but this was such a more enjoyable watch than Redemption Island, in my opinion, even though, because Redemption Island was, let's cast Rob and then we're going to go find 19 people that unfortunately have lost their brain in an accident and throw them on the season and then watch Rob just fucking watch it play the end. This didn't happen. There was actually moves, like every vote wasn't unanimous. And so I think it's an underrated season just because I can sit there, I have my notes ready, like every single episode, there's at least one moment where I was like, that was really funny. It's also funny and it's weird and it's cultish and over the top and campy and uncomfortable at moments. And I think ultimately that's really what Survivor is about. I will say, wild casting choices this season. I don't know what the fuck the casting producers were smoking when they were like, yeah, oh, her, oh, definitely him, oh, this one doesn't have a personality, put them on. Like, it's fucking all over the place, which is also why I like it, because the cast makes no fucking sense. So there you go.
I mean, we're definitely in that era where there's just a lot of cast. Look at tomorrow, like One World's cast, we have a Tarzan and a Troyzan. Like there's just, we have Leaf, we have people, and I think in this situation, once again, it becomes very apparent that at least half of the cast are recruits. Like, most of these people do not know what this game is. They are just out there and they've watched a season or two that they've watched before the game started. And I would say the South Pacific has seen a bit of a renaissance in the last few years, because this was the most requested season when I sent out my invites. Everyone wanted to do South Pacific, and it was the one that I kept saying, sorry, it's booked, sorry, it's booked, sorry, it's booked. Like, really? I thought I was the only one. It's like, no, South Pacific is, I don't know, back is the right word because it was never here, but people enjoy it now for some reason. I'm still not a fan, but yes, historically, it's always been better than Redemption Island, despite the fact that there's this whole cult blanket surrounding it. And we'll kind of get to all the reasons that it is better than Redemption Island, even though it is a cookie cutter version of that. Starting off, we have our two returnees. And we talked about this yesterday of, okay, Rob and Russell sort of makes sense because they had like a 3-episode story arc, and here's his villains. I know that the rumor that there was going to be Philip Shepard returning here or whatever, but instead we get Coach versus Ozzy. I don't think anyone was ever pining for Coach versus Ozzy, but here we are. Ava, what was your experience with these two characters going in? Did you have an experience with Ozzy or Coach going in?
Well, as you know, I'm an Ozzy fan, but I think this season actually like shed some light on the downsides of Ozzy that I didn't realize before, and it also shed light on some of the good sides of Coach that I'd never realized before. So that was my takeaway from these two in this season.
Okay. Will, 22 seasons in, were these the right choices? Who would you have rather seen in these spots?
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching it live. Like, obviously, Rob and Russell had their cute little tiff at the, Heroes versus Villains reunion. Oh, I'll kick your ass all over the island. They were like, that makes sense. This one, it's like obviously Coach, only 2 seasons prior, had his little run on Heroes versus Villains, which wasn't really that memorable in my opinion. His Ponderosa videos were more memorable than him in the game. And then Ozzy out of nowhere, which I thought was interesting because they're so opposite, which is like, I guess what they were also still kind of going with Redemption Island. Rob and Russell are 2 very opposite ends of the spectrum. So they were like, all right, let's give the 2 very opposite people. And obviously coming off Micronesia, Ozzy was a huge, player. Some would say snubbed from Heroes Villains. And yeah, well, I guess that's why, because they were like, I mean, Heroes versus his first season, Villains on his second season. Anyway, as for this is the part I'll never understand. Like, what made them be like, yes, it has to be these 2 out of all the people. Also, what I didn't love between Redemption Island is why only male returnees? Why can't we give female returnees a shot? But I digress. But as for like leading a tribe, can you imagine if Suri was on this season? Like,
yes.
You know what I mean? Like,
yes, I can. I would have much rather Suri versus anyone here. And it's not like Prod doesn't love Suri at this point. I mean, of course, she played 3 times up to here. I'm surprised they didn't.
Can you imagine if they brought in Suri and Amanda? Like the person who took Suri out at Micronesia, the person who fell just short. Like, this season is so different if like they bring in there's a little bit of rivalry. Yeah, it's so I thought that was interesting. I like the rivalry aspect of the last season. There was no rivalry between Coach and Ozzy because they never played with each other. So that was interesting. Again, picking those 2. I think anyone would have been. I remember watching and be like, "Oh, really? Again? Okay."
Again. That's how I felt for 50 when they brought them back again. You brought up Coach's Ponderosa video from Heroes vs. Villains. So what I've been telling people after we get off the live is I've been watching all the Ponderosa videos after the seasons are done to like go to bed at night. Heroes vs. Villains Ponderosa Coach is one of my favorite versions of Coach ever because he just comes off as a normal human being until
he's not putting anything on or anything. Yeah.
Until Rupert gets there, and Rupert's like, "Yeah, I was so confused why you were on the Villains tribe. I always appreciated your honesty and integrity thing." And Coach like really takes it to heart. It's like, well, one, Rupert's a moron, but like also Coach immediately buys back into this something that we're going to hear all season, both here and in 50, of honesty, integrity. Ozzy said he's going to be more strategic and less childish. And we'll talk about that. And we'll talk about that later. And the other big, I guess, standout in these first couple of minutes is the fact that for the 4th time in the last 8 days, I have a Hans on my screen. This time, and the nephew Brandon Hans. In my notes, I just have "Here we go again."
The Hans era of Survivor is dark. Period.
It's dark. Ava, what did you think of Brandon initially? I don't know if you said you've seen Caramon before, so you kind of know where his story ends up. Brandon 1.0, if you're just focusing on just these first couple of episodes, what were your thoughts?
I didn't realize how young he was, I guess. And I think him being so religious really like drove his story, and that was interesting to see versus like how I've seen Russell act, who doesn't do the honor and integrity thing, and he's very. I think Brandon and Coach were a good match as an alliance in terms of their two personalities.
Will, did you ever buy into Hans Mania? Like even when you were younger?
Oh, you mean like I loved the Hanses? Are you saying that?
Yeah.
I mean, listen, I'm very like kind of ambivalent on Russell, to be honest. Like, I think he did a lot to push the show forward. And I do appreciate people like that. He came out and said, I don't give a fuck. And he didn't care how he came off, and he was gonna, fuck people over and then be like, I don't give a fuck. Sorry. Like, what? That's a you problem. I appreciate players like that because they don't cast them anymore. Because as Jeff just went on and like said, we don't want to cast assholes anymore, and pretty much just called Sandra and Tony an asshole, even though the show is built off of their backs. We're never going to get a character like him again. So I appreciate what he presents in the game. Out of the game, he's crazy. But then Brandon, I could not fucking stand this kid. And then he's like, oh, I have ants on my arm. That's why I kept my shirt on. Bitch, you're there for 39 fucking days. Come on. Like, really?
You were never going to keep your shirt on for 39.
Right, exactly. But as much as I don't like Brandon, like, we can do a deep dive on this later. There's a world where he was winning this game. And no one talks about that. And that's crazy.
And there is no world where Russell Hands wins any season of Survivor ever. And just to quickly bounce back off of you with the I will never put Russell in the same category as Sandra or Tony. Russell's an actual monster in game, and Sandra and Tony, they're TV villains that are, and Sandra's really not. And yes, but I agree with you. Like what he did for 19 and 20, as much as the fact that 20 is no longer my favorite season because I finally just got tired of all of the Russellness this time around, shows that it just became too much. And now having Brandon and everyone, you almost still feel bad for him because everyone's putting these labels on him just based off of something that his uncle did in previous seasons. Now he's going to do it to himself in certain situations. But
then if you were a Big Brother fan, then you had Brandon's dad on Big Brother who ended up getting kicked out because he got physically assaulted somebody.
His other uncle, I think, Willie, because his dad.
Oh, okay. I didn't know.
But we get his dad here, so we get all the Hanses, within the time frame of like 4 years. We're also introduced to John Cochran. Or Cochran, as Jeff to call him.
Gross.
And I used to always say that Cochran 1.0 was probably my favorite of the two. Watching it today, it's like, no, I probably just don't like Cochran. Like it felt like too much Cochran even here before he gets 1,000 confessionals in Caramo. And Ava, I know that you mentioned you noticed Cochran because you watched Caramoan. Are you a Cochran person?
I'm kind of whatever about Cochran. As like someone that went to engineering school, I feel like I've met a lot of people very similar to him. I think he adds something to the show in a amusing light. Doesn't really take anything away. Wouldn't want to be on a beach stranded with him for 39 days. That's for sure.
We also get this, like, talking about how the cast is recruited, most of them. Cochran says, oh, Ozzy and Coach both played twice. And Jeff goes, you just know that Ozzy and Coach played twice? And it's like, yeah, that doesn't make him some weirdo super, like, yes, he is a super fan, but knowing that these two players played twice does not mean anything other than, hey, I've watched at least 4 seasons of Survivor.
Right.
And it's crazy that is what was looked at as a super fan, because Sophie's a super fan at this point. We don't see her say anything about being a super fan, but Sophie's a super fan at this point. It's the bar is so low as far as super fans at this point, as compared to what we eventually get down the line with Adam Kleins and a lot of the people post 40. It's like, oh yeah, Cochran just knows what seasons these people are on. That's cool.
I feel like that was a narrative, though, that they were trying to push. Because
some are trying to get rid of them because of it.
Right. But like I would say, like if I'm looking at all the seasons, I would say these two back-to-back seasons, and I don't know why, like behind the scenes, felt the most overproduced in like Redemption Island was made so Rob could win a season, and no one could ever convince me of that, right? But then when you start to do the behind the scenes of South Pacific, way more recruits, don't know what the fuck's going on. And even Cochran said, they made me wear a sweater vest. He goes, I've literally never wore a sweater vest in my life, but they put that in me for the show. So they were already starting this narrative of, wow, this cute little dorky guy that doesn't know shit. And then he's like, oh, and look, he's a super fan. So when he says they played twice, we're going to really lean into it because he's the nerd and the fish out of water storyline. So they were already making storyline before anything actually happened. And I don't know why, because then it's like one world, they kind of left it alone. But this seems so overproduced in the types of storylines they were trying to make. Half the cast, you looked at the cast as I'm going through the episodes, I'm like, none of these people had a fucking snowball's chance in hell of ever winning. And I'm like, oh, because they knew what people they wanted to get far. They knew Semhar was never getting to merge. Papa Bear was never getting to merge. But they knew, and Albert was going to get there. They knew Coach and Ozzy were going to get there. They knew who they wanted to get there, and they got their way. So yeah, it was very strange watching it back and being like, oh, they're pretty much just telling them what to do at this point. Like, it was so heavy-handed, and I don't know why, but whatever.
Well, they're trying to find. I won't go down this road because I went down it yesterday, and I probably ranted longer than I should have. But just go watch that. The comment Brandon pre-merge with Michaela. This is where we're at now. Because yes, it's fucking weird. It's weird because, and it's one of those editing tricks that I do enjoy this season. Sort of enjoy, probably is the wrong word, where he's saying all these bad things about her and all these bad things that she's doing at camp. And spliced in is her just doing normal people things, like doing things around camp. And this is where we really start to learn how disturbed this 19-year-old kid who's born again,
only 19.
Got married.
Oh, shit.
Huh?
I didn't realize he was that young when he played South Pacific. Shit.
So this kid who has had a rough upbringing, who just got married, who just got saved, and all of this. And it still just makes you feel gross because he's projecting how he actually feels. The kid is horned up. That's what it actually is. But in reality, what he's saying is, oh, she's trying to seduce me. Ava, how do you feel about this?
Yeah, he wanted her so bad. I was making comments and yeah, that's all my comment really says. He wanted her so bad.
But again, yeah. Oh, go ahead. Yeah.
It's interesting how he uses the religious aspect to either excuse things or justify them in his brain. I just think his mind works interesting ways.
Because he's a kid. And it sucks saying it. Like, I'm not trying to give him any excuses. It's just more every time I watch, it's like, okay, I just have to keep in mind that this kid is actually disturbed and probably shouldn't have passed the psyche eval this time or the next time. But he's got a lot of stuff going on. When he has those moments where he's saying, I'm really struggling. It's like, yeah, I believe you. I can see with my eyes that you were Jeff will ask him questions and he'll just start crying. So, yep, that's real. I believe everything this kid is doing is real and genuine. Will pre-merge Brandon Hance before we hit,
yeah,
I feel like potential, like you said, potential winner Brandon Hance. Pre-merge Brandon Hance, thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, again, talking about producers, really driving storyline, he must have said something that he, I guess, can't control himself around young women because they put him on a tribe. Michaela's the hottest. Sophie's very standoffish. And then who are the other women on his tribe? Stacy and Edna, two older women that they know he's not going to look at. So it's almost like they set him up because why wasn't he on the red tribe with Elise and Whitney? The two young, hot, and Semhar too. She was gorgeous. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But they put him on a tribe purposely with only one hot girl, knowing it would trigger him because he can't control urges. It was so weird. And then they wonder why he like lost his shit mentally. And I'm like, they were fucking him over from the first fucking minute.
Yeah. They were playing games
and
with
then,
him.
And I mean, honestly, the whole tribe was, because then they were like, you know, coach finds the idol, and then it's like, all right, well, Brandon wants to pray to find the idol, so we're gonna do that and like placate him. And like they were, it was just a game of gaslighting Brandon until you didn't need him anymore. Yeah, but he dominated a lot of the edit, especially in the beginning, and it was really like Upolo's edit in the pre-merge was Brandon's a horn dog and hates Michaela for breathing and existing because she's 22, and Coach is having a religious cult. That was there's 2 storylines, and that was it. I'm like, this is what we chose to focus on. Okay.
Well, we also learned pre-merge, like really when the cult first starts, we learned early Sophie isn't buying any of this, but I got to go with the numbers.
It, though, yeah.
Yeah, it's just like, I'm not even a religious person, but this, that, and the other. It's like, even though we don't get a lot of Sophie, especially before like the penultimate episode, every time I rewatch the season, I have to like look for those moments of like, okay, yes, there's another moment a little later when we get to the merge, but I'll just point it out now. I think Jim has her and Albert, and for some reason he puts Albert in the same situation as her, but he says, I know you guys don't really buy into this whole religion thing. And we now know that Albert was fully invested in the religion thing, but like Jim clocks Sophie as just kind of using the cult to further her game, and I don't blame her for it, because
she is good. It's the old school Survivor strategy of shut the fuck up and go with the flow and don't rock the boat. And she realized, oh God, I love him. Yes, Jesus. Yes, Jesus. And it literally saved her fucking game, because if she's like, oh, I'm not really into it, she would have been the Michaela or, you know, or something like that. So
she's gone. She's gone. One of my favorite scenes is, of course, when Brandon telling Coach, and we get a whole flashback of like Coach having PTSD from Heroes as Villains, and then Brandon telling the rest of his tribe, and Stacy, you know, blam, and everyone kind of, you know, oh man, now we know he's a huge piece of shit. And it's like, no, we don't. I mean, he is, but like, we don't know that. All y'all know is some kid with tattoos. It's like, is it a crop top? No, he's not wearing a crop top. It's so pre-merge.
No, it was very short though.
Okay. Another good moment from pre-merge is the old school pole challenge with the water, because it comes down to Stacy and Dawn. Stacy built, but like she's not a big person. Like, she's built, and Dawn is the tiniest person out there. And I think that it was a fun moment. Fun challenge, I guess, of the probably my favorite challenge of the pre-merge. My least favorite challenge of the pre-merge is my least favorite challenge of all time. Can y'all take a guess what it is?
Ooh, I didn't.
By a large margin. It's the pork one.
Yeah.
Is that what they eat the meat and like?
Yeah.
I loved it. I loved it.
Oh my no! I actually walked out of my room.
Well, they also it was the editing. They definitely added extra sounds in there to make it way worse than it was.
I eat it afterwards though. That was pretty gross.
Because it's fucking disgusting. Like, I think I do that 3 times during the show's history, and every single time I'll just walk out of the room and just wait. 5 minutes, probably be done. I can't do it.
Loved it. I loved it. I thought it was so cool. And as someone who's also watched the seasons out of order, I've mentioned this, the like old era seasons, and I'm going to like count this as like old era, not like super modern. I love the challenges. They're so much more creative and weird than these like
yes, I give them
puzzle,
that, yes.
Lift something, puzzle, do something.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that. Like, I do like the challenge team has just gotten a little lazy, and that's okay. But it's just like, you know, how many times am I gonna see that fucking 50-pound snake in the last fucking 3 seasons? You know what I mean? How many times do we need a logo puzzle? There's 70 of them. Like,
Yeah.
I've seen the logo before. Why we have 3 of them in season 50? And it's just different iterations of color or largeness. And that's really it. But yeah, so I do like I like the weird challenges of like throw yourself in the mud and just collect mud. Like it's so simple, but it's also like fun to watch. And not every challenge build has to be this obstacle course that runs 15 football fields long.
Yeah. I will say about that challenge though, Ozzy said he dislocated his jaw. Was that ever talked about again?
No, I don't think we ever see it again. All the injuries that we get during that challenge
He
is
was like, yeah, I dislocated my jaw, but it's fine.
Listen, if I had a nickel for every guy that dislocated his jaw in some meat, I'd have a lot of nickels, girl. Not me, because I don't do that.
No.
Woman of the Lord, like the Polu people. But from what I've heard, it happens.
Allegedly.
The Stacy boat out. One of the greatest, because we all know she's going home. We know what the pecking order is the entire season. We know exactly when people are going to go home.
That's what I was talking about. The casting, like they got what they wanted. Like Christine and Stacy did not have a shot. I think even if like it switched and like Ozzy was on blue instead, Stacy and Christine were always gonna go. I don't think that was ever changing. Same thing on the red team. Like Samhar and Papa Bear were always gonna go. There was no way. And then so like I feel bad for them because I'm like they casted them like and then just because the producers fucked the tribes, like they didn't even get a fair shot.
Well, that's why I feel bad for like Jim Rice specifically when Jim is on Redemption Island and he's the first one out, you know, when for the battle back, and you can tell it's bothering him. It's like, yeah, I basically signed up to play Survivor after all these, like I've been signing up for all these years, and I get put in a season where I'm basically supposed to be cannon fodder for one of these two people. And that's why I appreciate Philip Shepard so much, because he read the room and realized, hey, I'm not supposed to win this. I might as well just turn everything up to 11 for a whole season so that maybe I can come back again and do my thing. And Jim Rice was on the ballot for second chances, so like they saw something there with him. But even like Andrea Belke last season, Andrea, you know, super fan that actually did try to do certain things, and that was kind of, you know, pushed to the side, and we get her back for 2 more times. So yeah, but anyway, so the Stacy boat out. You know, we're at peak cult. Everyone tries to stand up to hug her. She's not about that life. She fucked up to Redemption Island.
Everyone, let's stand up to hug her. Like he tells everyone, let's stand up. And they were like, yes, Captain. But also talking about the creepiness of Brandon and Michaela, like, you know, she says no, and Coach wasn't willing to accept no as an answer right away. Like he leans in and she's like, no. And he's like, oh, come on. I'm sorry. When a woman says, don't fucking touch me, don't fucking touch her. Like, and you know what I mean? And so it was like, because Coach wanted it, fuck what Stacy wanted. He wanted to give her the hug. And that always made me a little like, ooh, that was gross. You know what I mean? Because he kept trying to go in for the hug after she was very clearly not into it, because that's what he wanted and didn't care about her feelings. Oh yeah, that would like this season is if anything highlights how men view women. I feel like, and that's why I love South Pacific as a storyline. When Sophie's at Final Tribal being like, I wish I was a man because I could just take 2 young girls. And so that's what I viewed Coach and Albert as. And it was almost like this season was marred by women just getting shit on. And then a woman comes up, beats the challenge beast, and wins the season. It's like the storyline is so good.
We get Stacy on Redemption Island, and we get one of the funniest moments in Survivor history. Yes. Her and Christine are going off on Benjamin. Michaela and Albert are there from their tribe. Albert says, oh, sour grapes. Fuck off. But Stacy goes on a tangent about why he's been not coach, keep that hug, boop, all
Your
that.
Chuck E. Cheese jokes, your Halloween jokes.
Chuck E. the Cheese jokes. And Jeff almost feels offended. It almost feels like he's so you feel like calling him Benjamin takes away power. It's like, aren't they the same thing? And it's like, no, he's Benjamin.
Like, what was his birth name? He wasn't born coach.
He wasn't born coach. And then coach, of course, in typical coach fashion, they tell him that. He goes, it pisses me off that she didn't call me that. And like, I've been getting called coach since I was 18. My family calls me coach. It's like, dude, relax. As someone who gets called coach, I'm totally fine with literally any other name. I don't care.
But also, if he wants to be called coach that bad, then change your name legally if you hate Benjamin that much. Like, for real, though. If you're that upset that someone doesn't call you by your nickname, then change it and make your real name, dude. If you're going to be about it, be about it.
You make reference to this earlier, but so coach prays to find the idol, and then God shows him the way to the idol. And then God shows him the way to the idol again once they do a prayer circle with Brandon. And this is really where the religious aspect of the season really starts to take off. And this is going to get called out at Final Tribal. Ava, just as a viewer, how did you feel about the fact that there was so much religion like surrounding this season?
Due to my recent life happenings, I thought it was weird timing, so I was very off put by it. It's weird that we don't really have any other season where there's like a big group of people talking about religion like this, and it's I can't remember who said it, but they're like, God didn't do that, you did that. And I think it's interesting, and it's a good cop-out for when you're behaving badly or you want to do something. It was amusing to see. Don't need to see it again.
Well, could this fly now? Could this fly now? Like, do you think people would receive this both as an audience and even if it's in a situation where, like, what Sophie has to do? Do you feel like there are other Sophies that would play now that'd be like, you know what, let's just do this and see what works?
Yeah, no, it would never happen again because as Jeff has also said recently, he only makes the show for fucking newborns and infants now. Fuck the fans that have been with them for 25 years. He only makes the show for kids. So he's not going to put any religion in because kids don't understand it. Anyway, I digress. I don't think we'll ever see a season this heavy on the religion. I mean, there's been times because I remember Christina from 49 definitely had some more in confessionals talking about God and reason for being there, but it felt personal and it didn't feel yucky unlike this season. So I definitely think religion is always going to be part of it. I think I don't, practice, but I think religion could be a great thing for people. And it's just not for me, but do I think people will we ever see it used as like a game mechanic or a way to build alliances? I don't think so. And if it ever did happen, I feel like they would edit around it. Like if I'm there and I'm like, they're like, you seem like a good Christian man. Yeah, let's make an alliance because we're Christian. They would edit around that and just be like, I like this guy. And that's it. Like, I don't think they would ever show it, especially just the world we live in now and like everyone gets offended easily and there's like everyone has a view on things. I don't think they would, again, because we're not trying to cast villains or we can't have any conflict in Survivor anymore, as per Jeff. They just wouldn't do it because they don't want any negative comments.
Yeah, I do agree with you. I think that they would edit around because it's hard not to believe that always happens out there anyway, because a lot of people are religious and then a lot of people bond over something. Like, you're looking for reasons to bond with people, and we see it in 41 where they try to do the camp out where, hey, we're all black, let's get together, let's do something about it. And we actually get shown that, which I thought was very surprising that they showed us that, and especially with relations in 2021, but I was happy to see it.
Yeah, I think that was also them trying, because that was the first season where the 50% BIPAC was in. Yeah. So I think that was almost their way of like, look at us, pat us on the shoulder, look what we did. And then 50 came and they're like, oh, fuck that thing. We're not doing that anymore.
We know what happened between,
Yeah.
We'll
yeah, I think that was definitely a way for them to pat themselves on the back. And then, you know, it never really happened again and then it dissolved, and there was like, and still to this day, like if you talk to any of, you know, Liana, Shea, and Danny Dijon, like it's still like a sore subject for some of them, and being like, yeah, we made that alliance and it was bigger than the game, and then it lasted for what, 2 rounds in the merge, and then Liana got blindsided. So they're like, what the fuck was that, you know? So I don't, again, similar to the religion thing, I don't think if there was an alliance made like based off of that, I think they would just edit around it.
I will say, I think they really like heavily were like, oh, they're all about religion. But then there's Dawn, who's extremely Mormon and didn't want to like take her clothes off. Where was that? Where was that in the let's all pray thing?
Yeah,
right. That's actually a really good point. I didn't think about that. And they didn't really talk about like her religion kind of journey as much as the others.
Yeah,
because she was cannon fodder.
Well, like you said, because one tribe is supposed to be the religious tribe and the other tribe is, well, everyone's in their proper roles. You can't put the Mormon woman with the overly Christian people because it's not. But you can't put Sophie with them. Which once again, we'll kind of get to.
It's fine.
Yeah, because Ava, I don't know if you've ever had to experience Baby Ozzy before, but Baby Ozzy is basically when things don't go his way, he turns into a baby. And he teased it in 50 and he didn't end up doing it, which I was really proud of. But in this season, yes, his first flirt man, Semhar, gets voted out. He's all right with that. But when Elise gets voted out, that's when I'm a free agent. Screw you guys. You guys hurt my feelings. I thought we were in an alliance. I know you reference Ozzy as like you noticed some negative things about him here. Is this one of them? And what were some of the other moments that kind of stood out to you on the negative end?
Yeah, in my notes, I just have Ozzy meltdown. What the fuck? He definitely was a big baby. He was totally a big baby, just like throwing things, and he was also acting very dramatic. There was I believe it was the challenge with Jim and Keith during Redemption Island where he wins and then he like flicks his things back with the flare. I was just kind of like, okay, Ozzy, I love you. Calm down, like please. He was also so cocky on Redemption Island.
Which we'll talk about his tenure there. We'll talk about tenure there. I do want to talk about how he gets there. Because I do think that one of the, and we'll kind of go around the horn and get you guys' opinions on this and would you do it. Ozzy understands that Christine is running roughshod on everyone there. She makes it to episode 7, and I think she gets voted out in episode 2. Christine is killing it, and she's giving, as you know, as the kids say. She's giving content.
She's mothering.
Yes.
She's serving cunt.
Yes, all of those things.
Serving cunt, house down, boots, ga. Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Happy Pride Month. Ozzy basically says, vote me out. Vote me out. I'll go take out Christine. I'll come back. We'll do this whole thing. And I'll even put on a good show for everyone at Redemption Island that they'll totally buy as an audience. We'll get to that in a second. The first question I want to ask is, Ava, do you think this was a smart move in the bubble of what is happening in the game?
I think it was a risky move that luckily worked out. And I think if anyone could have done it, it would have been Ozzy to do it. I think Coach clocked it pretty well of what was happening and why. And so smart move, I don't know. It was a risky move. It could have gone down in flames very easily, but it worked out. So therefore it's a smart move, I guess.
Will?
I think it was masterful. And this is where I kind of started talking about this in the beginning, where we're now starting to get to the point where players are metagaming the game. And Ozzy looked and he was like, I know we're going to merge because I can look at the numbers. I see what's happening. And Jeff was like, well, if we don't merge, and he's like, we're going to merge. Like, I can read you guys like a fucking book. And he's like, and then he's also metagamed it to the point where he knows, okay, we're about to merge. The last redemption duel is probably going to be something really physical / endurance. I know I fucking got it. And even though Christine's great, I know I can beat her ass. And he metagamed it and it worked. And I think it's probably one of the best moves in Survivor, to be honest, of like betting on yourself. Yes, is it cocky? But it's like he also knew what he could do. It's not like he wasn't sure. He's like, I have 2 seasons worth of things that I know what I can do here. I believe in myself. And if it's between me and a 45-year-old woman, I got her in speed, I got her in endurance, maybe a puzzle she got me, but I think I can do it. And and he beat her ass. And yes, is it risky? But I think also he knew, like, I'm making TV. And are they gonna let me go that quickly? I don't think so. And it worked.
If he made it to the final 3, he would have rode that ticket to the $1 million.
Oh yeah.
Oh no, yeah, no. All the jury said if he was there, he would have won unanimously.
Yeah, totally.
But, yeah.
Totally.
Gabe brought this up, and this is kind of my feeling on it. But Christina she keeps saying how much she does not like her old tribe, and y'all are all going and watching. So it's not like if you get rid of Cochran here, we can just trust she probably beats him like she beats everybody else. And now you have that extra number going into the merge because she's not going back with them. And I know that's what ifing, and I try not to do what ifing a lot, but that is one of those what if moments that makes a lot of sense. And instead, we do have Ozzy. Ozzy does go and win. He puts on an acting performance of a lifetime. No one buys it, but he's not the last person to do that in the same episode, because then we merge. Cochran.
Well, Coach, here's the thing about that of like, why not just get rid of Cochran? I think because they knew Cochran was probably going to flip. So if you put Cochran in Redemption Island and then he wins, they know they don't have him. Yep. So I think it's like, yes, we know Christine doesn't like her tribe, but there's a chance he wins and we lost this anyway. So we might as well just send him to beat her ass, and then they know they have the number on that side with them coming back.
And trust that he puts on a better acting performance than he does, because no one buys it. And this is what clocks Albert and Coach to something is up. And when Cochran goes and tries to tell Coach, hey, yeah, this is... Coach immediately is like, hey, I think this is all bullshit. I think you guys are trying to mess with us, and we're not going to do it. You either jump ship with us or we're going to Rocks. At this point in the show's history, we haven't had Rocks since season 4. And we won't get Rocks again for another 5 seasons after this. But this dark cloud of Rocks hangs, and I don't remember this being the case the last time I did this. Rocks hangs over a lot of seasons before we even get to 27. There's always at least one moment in every season that I've kind of gone through where it's like, no, like, we don't want to go to Rocks. We don't want to go to Rocks. And when those Rocks moments do happen in 27 and 33, I do feel like those are I feel like epic moments. Yes, it sucks that we lose people that by way of a rock draw, but it does lead to compelling television, and it does, people like to talk about big moves. Well, there's nothing bigger than saying, hey, I'm ride or die with my folks at this point. Let's just say, fuck it, we ball and see what happens.
Well, you know what the difference is, though, Coach? The reason it works in 27 and 33 and didn't work here, because in 27 and 33, they casted people that were actually fans of the game.
Yeah.
And these are a bunch of recruits. So they're like, Rocks, I don't know what that means. I'm not going to do it.
I don't know what it means. Ava, do you know?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Yeah. I don't know if you've seen a Rock season or not. That's the only reason.
I think I have.
And then then 27, obviously it's half returnees. who are with their loved ones, so they get it. And then 33 was a bunch of fans as well. So like I think that's the reason too, because a lot of them were recruits who didn't truly understand, or they were like, what do you mean ride for people? I just thought we vote people out and that's it. Like I'm confused. So
hey,
yeah.
You already got us with this Redemption Island bullshit. This wasn't in what token genes.
Well, Cochran does say, like, I've been a fan of this show for too long to let my game go out because of a bunch of rocks. Like, he knows what rocks are happening, and that's why he flipped, and he didn't want to do that.
Yeah. And I mean, and going off of the Cochran thing, so I think one of the other reasons that I used to, it's like, oh yeah, like he's going from the bottom to the bottom, but like these people actually seem like they like him. My problem with it today specifically is, one, he's flipping one spot lower, which is going to become the case, when they get to Final 7. The other thing is, his tribe has shown twice already that they're willing to mix things up at different points. So just because he's 6th in the pecking order now, let's say they make it to Final 6, there's a good chance that he probably still doesn't come in 6th because Jim Rice or somebody's going to try to pull something off to probably get out Ozzy, or maybe even Keith or Dawn at that point to put themselves in a better spot. I understand that we're not out there, so we can't think, but just from a viewer's perspective this time around, it's like, no, this is just bad. You have enough of a sample size to know that you're playing with people that would be willing to do this. Ava, good or for just not paying attention to what happens at Final 7, did you think this was a good move on his end as it happened?
No, because I think I had the foresight to be like, yeah, he's going to be bottom of the pecking order, and that's what happened. It was kind of like a last-ish effort to try and make a move, but I think he should have just stuck with his original tribe, even though they were completely assholes to him the whole time.
Yeah. Well,
yeah, I mean, Cochran was in an unwinnable situation, right? It was either what he did, which was flip and be on the bottom, or stay with people that don't give a shit about me and still be on the bottom. Again, they casted Cochran knowing he had a snowball's chance on hell to win this game. And so I think also what didn't help was I think what Dawn and Ozzy had immunity. And then someone had the idol or whatever, and it was one of those the numbers are low if we're doing rocks, right? Yeah. And he was like, I'm not gonna do it. I do think though, if a blue had gotten rocked out there, I don't know if it would have been a pagonging like it did happen. I do think a blue getting rocked out, depending on who it was, would have broken the game wide open. And then people would have been willing to cross tribal lines a little bit more. So I do think going to rocks probably would have been the move because more blues would have been drawing rocks than reds. So that if we're gonna play the odds, which Jim, the poker guy, should have known, blue is most likely gonna lose on that. But again, that just shows how shit all their social games are. Because you gotta make everyone in your tribe, even if you don't like them. Oh, you're my number one, buddy. Lie to his face. They made no qualms. They were openly at tribal when Ozzy went. They were like, Jim said, I mean, I don't really agree that Ozzy should be voted out here. I really think it should be Cochran, but we're just gonna go with what Ozzy wants. And then they got mad that he flipped. I'm like, you're openly saying you can go, and they wonder why he flipped. Everyone's social games just didn't exist. It was very odd.
Well, and then they shit on Sophie about it in the final tribal. It's like, well, glass houses and all that. But we do eventually get the Cochran flip on the revote, and we lose Keith. And I appreciate Ozzy in this scene mainly because of what happens after. So they get back to camp. Ozzy is, talking to Cochran. Brandon comes over to be that protector that he promised him that he would be. And Ozzy's like, I'm not going to, it's a game, dude. I'm not going to, kill him or anything.
It's not like we're gangsters out here.
Yeah. And then it cuts to Jim and Whitney going off on Cochran.
You disgust me.
Yeah. And it's like, Brandon, where you at here? We need you here. We don't need you with Ozzy. Ozzy at least sort of
it's like they waited for Brandon to go like get pulled for a confessional and they're like, oh, he's gone? You fucking asshole. Like they waited for him to purposely leave before they like ripped into him.
Ava, is that warranted? Do you like, I know I understand people get pissy. I get all of that. Do you think that they took it too far in that scene?
Yes. I think Whitney's like in love at this point. She's decided Keith is her man.
Husband who? Yes.
So I think her crash out was very well said and valid. And then she's all like, you disgust me. And it's like, okay, you're hurt. Jim, I overall think was way too emotional and overstepped the line pretty much most of the time that he had. He had a few times where he was like just getting so upset about something. Calm down, dude. So I think Whitney was valid. Jim, no. I don't think that was right.
Ava, I'll have to put you on to Ponderosa afterwards, but like you get to unless you know what Ponderosa is.
Yeah, it's like where they hang out after they've been voted off. I haven't seen any of the videos though.
So South Pacific's ones it's very uncomfortable by the time that Cochran makes it because no one talks to him basically the entire time he's there. It's really sad because the game is over.
Like he literally shows up and he's like, "Hey guys," and they literally do this. Like they're eating dinner, they look at him and they're like, and silence. They just continue eating and pretend that he's not there. And he's like, well, I guess I'll just go fuck myself then. Got it. He's like, does anyone want to talk? And even Dawn, Whitney, they're like, honestly, I'm just not really in the mood. Like, we're good. I don't really need to talk to you. Like, Dawn, his number one. She was like, no, I'm good. Like, I just can't. I'm not in the mood.
They were so mean to him. They blurred it out, but when they ended up voting out Cochran, Ozzy didn't write Cochran. Ozzy wrote Cockring. Like, yes. They were so mean for no reason. But I will say, Brandon was so righteous, being like, Oliver Polu stands behind Cochran.
Like, it was a great move. Like when they were like Jim, like right as Keith is getting his torch snuff, and Jim's like coward, and Brandon's like, that's why that what just happened because you talked to him like that.
Yeah,
that's what
Brandon
just
stick up for him multiple times, and it was good. I enjoyed that.
This is
that honor and integrity came to action.
This is the redemption arc-ish of Brandon Hansen this season. But before we get to that part, I do want to quickly talk about Jim's plan. They don't actually end up doing it, but Jim's plan of like, hey, how about I give you the necklace at Tribal to like totally throw people off, and that way some people might vote for Cochran, which I understood where he was coming from. I think it would have still been probably a bad move, but the rationale made a lot of sense. Will?
Yeah, you're talking about like
so he
Ozzy went.
Yeah, I'm gonna give Ozzy the necklace, but I'm gonna sit there and shit on Cochran the entire time, so that when I give Ozzy the necklace, we don't give these 6 people enough time to figure out who all 6 of their votes are going on. Then all of a sudden, votes are all over the place. As long as
Yeah, no, I actually do think it was a smart move because he knew they were an unbreakable bond. So he was basically counting on, oh, wait, why would Jim give Ozzy a necklace and make himself vulnerable? They probably think he has something. Well, then get rid of the expendable one in Cochran and we all get through a vote. I think it was actually smart. Unfortunately, Jim thought way higher about his game moves than he could actually do. He just didn't have, how did New York put it? He didn't have the vernacular that he thought he possessed. And he really thought he was big braining it. It was like, no, baby, you don't got it. You think you got it, but you don't.
You brought up earlier how the biggest difference for you between this and Redemption Island is the fact that like every episode has something. For me, once Jim goes, it really does become Redemption Island 2.0 for me, because then we have
because to the point where they put Dawn and Whitney's vote outs in the same episode. Like they don't need an extra vote. We're just gonna do both of them. Like let's just get through it.
and it became, I won't say lazy because you can't help, but it just became just once again just similar to yesterday. I thought about taking a nap, and it's like if I take a nap now, I'm not going to want to watch this when I get up. So let me just push through it. Let me get some food, and that's what I did. And it's not a fun watch. The fun kind of comes from Brandon, out of everyone in this game, and maybe anyone ever, plays the most honor integrity game that's ever existed, to the point where he is sitting there at tribal multiple times saying, this is exactly what's going to happen, or sitting at camp saying, why are we doing all of this? We know what's happening. Why are we even entertaining this idea of doing this? And Will, like you said, there is a chance that honor integrity actually wins at the end of the day. Now, before we get to everything dealing with the first Final Five, Brandon's honor integrity game, what are your thoughts on it?
I thought it was great. I mean, he was able to really turn it around, which is his arc is, I mean, I don't like him, but if we're just talking during the season, the arc is crazy. How he's like, I have this young woman and I can't control my urges, to like, the jury literally has said that if Brandon sat at the final three, he was getting votes. Like, that arc is wild. But I think, I mean, he was like, if I'm gonna be about it, let's be about it. And I think he never really said it, but I think he realized Albert and like Coach were not really doing the honor integrity thing, and were kind of like playing in his face a little bit. And he's like, well, then they can do that, but I'm gonna do me. And I'm gonna just be like, yeah, Edna, we don't have to strategize, baby. You're going. Like, it's you, baby. Like, that's it. And I think that's why he would have won, because he was very straight up with people. And then in those mid-range seasons, that's what got people the win, was people who were like, yeah, you can still make moves, but just be upfront and own your game. And he was willing to do that.
Bullshit us. Yeah, don't bullshit us. And that leads us to our other person we haven't talked about much. In my notes, I have one note. Oh, I have two notes on this person. And one of them is Albert is shady as fuck. Ava, what are your thoughts on Albert?
I don't like Albert. I also think he's shady. And Sophie pretty much summed it up very well, where she was like, he thinks he's so smart and strategic, and he's really not. He's talking a lot of talk, but he's not getting anything done. I would have taken him to the final three, because I wouldn't have thought he got a vote in the world, and he didn't get any votes, so...
And he keeps making it, he's not even double dealing. He just keeps entertaining these ideas and making people really feel like he's going to do something. And then every single time he doesn't do it, that's just, it's Russell Hant's blueprint of like making promises to people, swearing on all of this stuff, and then not doing it. How do you, if you're putting people on the jury, you want them to feel something, it never felt like Sophie was antagonizing these people. It didn't feel like Coach was necessarily antagonizing these people. We'll talk about the Brandon thing a little bit, but it did feel like Albert was like playing in their face of, yeah, like, no, like if we can get this, like, yeah, for sure, every single round. And that's why every Savai'i member, with the exception of Cochran, votes for Sophie, because they did not like the way that Albert was kind of handling any of it. The other Albert thing is, so during the final seven, when Cochran makes up his birthdays in a couple of days, and which I thought was very funny, Albert just his game starts to end right around here, because once he's doing it again, with Cochran, and he's making all of these promises. Cochran goes home, and then we hit Final Six family visit, where it's another moment where you really feel for Brandon, because his dad is basically saying, I get it, God and all that. Trust me, we're from the South. I think God will understand if you also try to win $1 million. When I first watched the season, I felt bad for Brandon because of the way his dad was talking to him. Watching it today, it's like, no, listen to Dad, because he's kind of right. Ava?
Yeah, his dad is right. I think Coach said something about after, not you, Coach the on Survivor, yeah. Coach said something about how, like, when Brandon's dad came in, it really did click about why the Hanses act the way they act and the correlation for them. And I think his dad was right, but I don't think his dad really had any business like going up to Coach during the family visit to like be like, this has to happen, this has to happen, this has to happen.
Yeah, it was giving very much like, send your parents into your college professor's class to tell them to change your grade because you work really hard and you're a nice boy. It was giving that.
By a lot. I forgot that part happened. It's like Coach's brother and whatever Papa Hans are all standing. It's like, oh, I just need, before I leave this island, I'm going to tell my boy, exactly. So I just need you to tell me. It's like, damn, dude. Like, I understand your conversation with him, with your son. You're going up to this guy and his brother, just like, hey, you need to do this. And I do feel like Coach is probably already going to get rid of Brandon at 5, but I feel like this would definitely nail it home of like, you sit your dad, and Brandon didn't. Brandon's just sitting there saying, you know what? I don't care about the $1 million. I don't care about the win. I just want to spread the word of God. And it's like, okay, you have definitely done that.
And not go on an island TV show and starve for 39 days. You could do that out of the comfort of your own home and stand on the corner and, pass out Bibles and be fed. But I digress.
I think I think those 3 episodes, episode 12, 13, and 14 is really like, they really leaned into the, like, let's feel bad for Brandon and like, let's make him seem like this adorable little altar boy.
Yeah. I did enjoy about it though, because I think this is like the only time we've ever seen in the family visit where their family members are also playing. And I did kind of like that. Like, it didn't come off great, but I did like that they were like, let's talk strategy, even though they're not in the game. Like, that was kind of cool to see, because we never seen that up to that point, because everyone's like, here's my beautiful wife, and the wife goes, hi everybody, and that's it. Like, it's never any more than that. So I did appreciate that the family was like, no, let's talk shop a little bit.
Other than the one dead grandma moment that Fairplay's brother totally.
Well, that was a little
scrap moment.
Yeah, that's true. It wasn't his brother. It was that was his name. Danger Dan. No.
Yeah, it was his best friend. Yeah.
Yeah. So Brandon, I already said Brandon's the only person playing honesty, integrity. This is also when we get to 5. So after we lose Edna, episode kind of starts with Sophie sitting there saying, hey, Ozzy, like, we need to make sure Ozzy doesn't come back, because Ozzy, what does she call it? Ozzy's pleasure hut. Everyone that gets voted out goes to Ozzy's pleasure hut. And it's like, yeah, Ozzy doesn't have to play the social game anymore, which he sucks at, because all he does is feed people for a couple of days, beats them in a challenge, and they're like, oh, I love you, Ozzy. Ozzy wins this season so easily without ever actually, and we're gonna get to how fan reaction would have been there. But Sophie's the one that
he was basically Chris Underwood before Chris Underwood.
Yes. But Sophie is the one that on camera brings up, we can't have Ozzy go to the end. And this is right after Coach basically swears on everything that he cares about, including God, that he will be taking Ozzy to the end of the game. And this is really what costs him in the end. But they agree that Brandon is also the other threat, and that Brandon needs to go join Coach there. Ava, from a first time watch, not paying attention to anything that we have said tonight, just going based off of how you were perceiving it, did you perceive Brandon as a big threat at Final 5?
No. I think he was too erratic. Because pre-merge, he had those 3 big flip outs where he was very much on thin ice, and they were like, okay, if he does it again, he's gonna have to go. And I think, as we see in his later seasons, he ends up having an insane flip out. And I think the show does good at editing around it. But I think he was a lot more erratic than we saw. And I think everyone knew that. Like I wrote in my notes, oh, I'd bring him to the final 3 because he's so erratic, no one would vote for him.
So are you surprised to hear that people had big thoughts about potentially voting for him at the end.
Yes. Yes and no.
Yeah, it's because everyone hated, because if you look at it, like take Ozzy out of it, right? You look at the final five, Rick, who? Like, I'm sorry, you're telling me out of the thousands of people that apply to this show, Rick was top 9? Top
Crazy.
9. No, this guy, he did nothing. He's one of the, I don't know why I have so much disdain for this man. I've had so much disdain for this man as long as I've seen him. And I don't know what it is. I just hate him. He did nothing and I hate him for doing nothing. Anyway, but then it's like, so no one, Rick was nothing. A bag of shit could have sat next to Rick and Rick still would have lost. No one liked Sophie. They thought she was a bitch. Everyone hated Albert. Nobody liked Coach. So like Brandon sitting there looks the best because he's the only one that could say, I was honest with everybody. I tried to pull moves. I wasn't the easiest to work with. I made some mistakes, but I made it here. He wins. He sweeps. Obviously, Ozzy would have been, somewhere in the middle there. Ozzy would have won first, but Brandon was second as for like how people felt about him in the game. And then the fact that they were able to this is the part because I didn't watch that episode. Did they convince him to give his necklace up, or he did that?
We're gonna get to that. We're gonna get to that in a second. I just want to quickly bring up Rick because I don't have Rick's name written down in my notes, and this entire time I've been trying to bring up something about Rick and couldn't remember his name. So it's like, all right, I'll just, if I don't get a chance to talk about him, fine. But yes, he is. The only thing I have to say about Rick is his facial expressions are actually pretty funny, and his voting confessionals are actually pretty funny.
Yeah, I did like when he was voted out and Coach tried to do the same thing he did with Stacy, and like, here's my hand. He was like, I'm good. He's like, oh, Rick, come on, like you said you were bringing me to the final 3. Fuck off, like.
So I will give Rick that.
Rick's no, you can't comment on that.
Yeah,
during that.
So, final 5. Brandon wins immunity, and Brandon, basically says he's praying on it because he knows that Albert is in a lot of shit because Rick and Sophie are now calling him out on all of his double dealing that he's been doing the entire game, and he knows that Albert could be on his way out, and because they're brothers in Christ, and that's not me even being sarcastic like I have been this entire time. Like Brandon does see themselves as brothers. And Brandon basically prays on and says, hey, yeah, I potentially will give the necklace away. And Coach, and this is one of the reasons I will never like Coach says, yeah, like I will have to pray on it too to make sure that it's the right idea for you, and also for me to decide how I want to vote. And it's like you without you actually saying it, you are implying if you give the necklace away, I will not vote for you. And he even he doubles down on it at Tribal, where it's like, yeah, it'll be like I told Brandon it'll be fine, this, that, and the other. Albert is saying the same thing. Albert is saying the same thing as he's wearing the necklace. Like, if I thought Brandon was going to go home, I wouldn't do it. And Albert does vote for Sophie, so like I will give him credit there with that. This is where whenever I meet Coach people that say, oh, Coach was robbed in South Pacific, it's like, no, he wasn't, because he took advantage of this. Yeah, I don't care if you like Brandon Hanson or not, because I don't. He took advantage of this poor kid's religion and manipulated him into making this type of mistake, using the same reason he hated Russell in season 20 of like, oh, Russell swore on my road, or whatever it was. It's like, it's the same thing. Ava, at this, well, I know you knew who the winner was by then, but like, do you feel like this is where Coach loses, or do you think it happens earlier?
I think it happens earlier. I think after Brandon gets voted out, Coach says to him, it's God's will, go win redemption, which was so crazy to me. And I think it was just insane. I think that really summed up who Coach was as a person, where he's like, calling, like, he always has an excuse for why he does something, and he never really takes accountability. I feel like, at least, I haven't seen every single season Coach has been on, but he never really takes accountability. And I think there was like 2 episodes before that he did something similar that I was like, oh yeah, he's done.
Will, is this something that you think you could do? Do you think that you would be able to? Do you think you would be able to utilize that in that situation of like, I know that this kid. Do you think you could do that? What is this? Is this a line that you're willing to cross? I guess.
Oh yeah, 100%. Okay. I mean, because here's the thing, everything's fair game. So like people love to pull a card, Jeremy Collins, everyone loves Jeremy, but at the end of the day, he waited to pull the emotional manipulation card of, wait, I'm going to pull, I have a kid on the way. Right at Final Tribal when he knew on day one, he had a kid on the way. So like, it's for me, it's the same thing. It's basically using, what you have at your disposal. And I mean, some people go, well, let's do all women at the final. It's never happened. Or let's do all moms and parents at the final, right? It's all emotional, manipulation. As for like if I was in Sophie's, I'd be like, yes, Jesus, love him. Love him. Never had a bad moment with him, right? And then I think, and honestly, like, yes, it's icky. I truly believe Coach could have won the season if in his opening he was like, all right, guys.
Let me drop the act.
Know. Yeah, he goes, I use religion as a tool, and I understand that it can make you feel some type of way, and I agree with that, and I've struggled with it too, and I don't even know where I stand with it, but it got me here, and I do own it. And I know what I was doing. And did I say things I shouldn't have said? And did I lie? Absolutely. And did I use my religion as a framework? Absolutely. I think he could have probably won if he did that. I feel like Jim, who wasn't a nice person, who he said I feel like Jim's vote switches back to goes to Coach if he says something like that. But as for could I do it? Absolutely. If I'm like, God talked to me, and you want to believe that God talked to me and told me that God told me to send you to redemption, and if you want to believe that God really cares about Survivor that much on Wednesdays at 8:00, that's on you, baby, for believing it.
And there's a lot of bias with me because I've never disliked the Johnny Fairplay lie because you.
No, me neither. I love it.
I've never hated. Basically, it's always to spin. I don't like anything that Russell Hanson's ever done ever, and I don't like Coach doing this here. And it's probably because I just don't like Coach. And I think it's also because when people, for those that don't know, I was not going to do this if Coach had won season 50 because I don't like him that much that I was willing to never watch Survivor again if he had won a game because when I hear his I used to think that Coach fans were in on the joke. Then I start to realize, oh no, there are a lot of people that actually think he's a good player. That they think that he is all about the honesty, integrity thing. Like they do think that he should be on the heroes tribe and heroes as villains. There are people out there that actually believe this. People that I know specifically, but also if you go on all the forums, there are a lot of real life Coach people out there. And it just, I was like, have you never watched South Pacific? Like, at what point was that ever honor integrity? At what point was this ever not a joke to him? Because like you just said, if he had said, and what Gabe said in the chat, if he just goes to the end and says, fooled you, like this, like, I'm sorry, like I didn't mean to do it like that, I do think that he probably could win in that spot. But because he doubled down on it and he just kept saying, like, he stayed in character, it's like, this man doesn't want to win. There's no way this man wants to win.
Well, I think that also showed exactly. I think it also showed his lack of awareness because he truly thought, like, I don't know what I was doing. Like, what do you mean what I was doing was wrong? Like, he truly thought that he could sit there and say, God told me this was going to happen. God told me we should go to the final 3 together. I'm going to backstab you and then also say God wanted this and then get to the end and be like, what do you mean you're not going to vote for me to win? Like, he had no awareness of that. And I think that's like the whole, like, there wasn't a joke to him because he just used whatever mental gymnastics for it to make sense in his head. And like you said, if he owned it and he goes, listen, I use it as a tool, like Sophie said it, like, because I think it was Dawn or asked her, like, the religious thing, what's that about? And she goes, I'm not religious, but that was what was presented in front of me. So I used that religious framework in order to get me in, because if I didn't join that, I was gone. And like she explained it perfectly. And that she basically did what Coach needed to say.
Yes.
It was just, yeah, very strange. Very strange.
We're almost there. Go ahead, Ava.
not to be a coach advocate, I overall don't like him.
I'm kidding.
I do think he did have a lot of moments of genuine honor and integrity, like on the Closer Look episode. I think it might have been Cochran or someone else. Someone was getting hit while they were down, and he was like, "No, that's not how we play. This is fucked up." He overall is so corny and so dislikable that clouds over any good thing that he's ever done.
Yeah, I agree. I think there are moments. I think he is like not a horrific person. It's just this. He's not meant for this game. That's it. You know what I mean? Like totally. he's trying to have his cake and eat it too, and it doesn't work in a game like this because when's the last time, I would have to go through the list, that someone won the game off honor and integrity alone? I can't think of the last season that happened. Definitely nothing in the new era.
No, definitely not.
I mean, I was like, I would not even Tommy, because Tommy played a pretty clean game.
Yeah.
But Tommy had some fucked up shit. Like maybe Chris, because he barely played the game, I guess. I don't know. Because Chris didn't have to say any lies because he went home round fucking 2. So like and so it doesn't work. Like we've seen it with Joe. Joe has played 2 seasons of the honor integrity, and he was brought to the end because they were like, well, bring this guy because then we know he's not gonna win because this is fucking ridiculous. So
the game literally says outwit. You can't outwit without a lie.
Yes. Except for if you're Brandon Hanson, in which case,
I mean, honestly, for Brandon though, like him giving up the necklace and putting his 100% faith in Coach and Albert for them to turn on them, it wasn't a move like Brandon made that move, but it ended up being like it really destroyed their games. Like from that point on, there was probably nothing Albert or Coach could do to win the game because this guy had that much faith in you and you still fucked him over. It was done. And it was so, like I said, not a purposeful move on Brandon's part, but literally probably what helped secure Sophie the win was that move right there.
When Brandon was like learning things during the final tribal, his faces were so funny.
Just like, and he's like, really do feel for him. But we're gonna get to the final tribal in just a second. So Ozzy comes back into the game. The only thing that I really want to point out is Albert won't drop the stack. And we lose, what's his name? I already forgot his name. Keith? No,
Rick.
What is his name? Rick. We lose Rick again. He doesn't hug. Sophie wins Final Four.
I love when Sophie's the brat. Albert, drop your stack and fucking help me. And then Jeff is like, that's not allowed.
Not do it. I'm glad he let it go on for a while, though. I'm glad he let Sophie get it all out before he said, no, we're not going to do this. But so Ozzy goes home. He gets a standing ovation. And this is before we get to Final Tribal, because people love to talk about how Chris Underwood, he got voted out 3rd round of Edge of Extinction, and then he wins. If Ozzy wins this season, how is it received? Because he got voted out twice. If he stays the 3rd time, he got voted out twice. How's he received?
Right, and I think it's so interesting that if he, like you're saying, like if he wins that final immunity, I don't know who would have went home there between Albert, Coach, and Sophie, but I do believe he sweeps, and I think he only sweeps because he's the most likable out of who's sitting next to him. Not because he played the best game, but he can sit there and say, "I offered to get voted out and came back in." That I fucking put my balls on the table and fucking showed it. Like. He wins based off that move alone.
I would argue that makes him one of the best games. Like, he did play a really good game, but like it was a risky move, but the move worked out. And he said multiple times, all I got to do is sit here, I'm eating well, and then I'm going to get back in eventually because he bet on himself. So I will say it was a good game, good gameplay.
But would the audience have hated it like they hate the Chris Underwood win? And
no, because I think Ozzy has history and people like Ozzy.
I'm not aware of the Chris Underwood game, but as an Ozzy fan, if Chris Underwood isn't as attractive as Ozzy, of course Ozzy's.
No, he's pretty hot. He's hot.
Yeah. I'll defer to Will, but
He's hot and he has a huge cock. So like that's like, how do you have both, dude? Like he's like in these little shorts, his dick enters the room 15 minutes before he does. It's like, really? You get everything?
Wait, that
Come
switches up
on.
everything in my brain. Because I'm an Aussie fan.
But I think only because I think it's because though, think about, okay, so let's swap Ozzy out with Keith, right? Keith says, I'm gonna go to Redemption Island and bet on myself. He comes back. Like, I think no one would have cared. I think it's because it was Ozzy. It's because he already had 2 seasons behind him of him being a very big fan favorite. That's why it would have been a well-received win because of who it was. Any other person on the cast that's not a returning player, they've been like, fuck this guy. He doesn't deserve it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's our obligatory Coach Drew knows he has an OnlyFans. Yes. For the last, however many times I've done this, the Ozzy's OnlyFans always gets brought up. We talked about it.
Well, that's why he was blacklisted for so long, because they were like, because he started his OnlyFans right around Game Changers because he used it as a way to boost his OnlyFans. And then because, again, Survivor only makes the show for fucking kids, they were like, oh, we can never have him back because he's an OnlyFans and all this shit. And then 50 came around. They're like, oh, I guess it doesn't matter. Ozzy has a huge cock as well. It's uncut. I don't know if you guys care, but it is.
Also, so we'll talk about that when we get off, because me and Santi and George talked about this during the Micronesia thing. We talked all about Ozzy's OnlyFans. I want to slowly start to get to the end of this. So there's a urban legend. I don't know how true it is. It's one of those urban legends I choose to believe, that Sophie filled her canteen with champagne for Final Tribal, just to take a drink every time someone says something bad about her. And it's like, that's awesome. I want confirmation that is that is the truth. Who goes first?
I love that.
Ozzy goes first, and he straight up says, no one wants to vote for any of you.
Yes.
Well, we're going to have to, Sophie, everyone saw you as this, Coach this, Albert, you're just a slime ball, whatever. Where was I going with this? Oh, so Ava, you brought up the Brandon Hance of it all. So I guess we'll start with you. Brandon's question to Albert. Just his interaction with Albert.
Yes. Yes or no? Yes or no? Yes or no? Yeah, I think he was valid in that. It was a yes or no question. Albert is sleazy and was trying to talk his way out of it, and it's like, dude, just answer the question. Just answer the question. I wasn't an Albert fan. I just disliked Albert.
He's a slime ball.
And that's why I love Jim's question, which, for the lore of me and Coach, I used Jim's question as my jury question for the Survivor game we played. I also used it for the Big Brother game I played in Maine at Reality Retreat, where I said, I need you to tell me why the other person shouldn't win, and if you say anything nice about them, you will automatically lose my jury vote. So you can lose or get my jury vote the right easiest right here.
Will, that's a great question, but
and then he automatically says something nice about Jim.
I love your approach to the game.
He's just laughing.
Yeah, it's just, it comes off as fake, and not even like it comes off as not used car as a salesman, but just there's no way that I don't know. It's hard to explain. But the other thing with Brandon is when Sophie straight up says, yeah, the idol was already in Coach's pocket. We didn't have to pray for it because it was already there. And Brandon, he does like that. I think he does this. And at that moment, it's like, man, like this kid is not going to be all right for a long time. And as we know, he wasn't. Will, I know we've talked a lot about Brandon tonight. Do you feel for him on the jury learning all of this?
Yes and no. I think I do feel for him because, like I said, I didn't look at anyone's ages when I was doing research. No clue that this kid was a teenager, because he doesn't look 19. He looks 35 because he's had a life. Yeah, and I don't know if you know what he looks like now. He has like face tattoos that come out to here. It's fucking crazy. Anyway, so I do feel for him in the fact that he was a literal teenager, basically trying to figure it out, and And so I do feel bad in that, like, he realizes, oh, I was played as the fucking patsy this whole fucking game. So that I do feel a little bit bad for him because people ran circles around the poor kid and he had no idea. He was playing checkers and they were playing chess. So I do feel bad for a little bit there. But at the end of the day, like, I also don't feel that bad.
Yeah, it's a game. It's a game. But because he doesn't know what the show is, he doesn't know it's a game. He thinks it's real life. Like, these people are really lying to him.
You think he didn't get a little inside knowledge from his uncle that this thing is going to be a lot of lying? And he was probably like, no, I'm going to play with honor and integrity and it's all going to be fine. I feel bad for him.
I mean, I don't think him and
player.
From what I read, no, Russell and him don't get along at all. So I don't even know if there was probably a phone call. They were like, Russell, do you have any family members? He goes, yeah, I have this nephew that's like fucking crazy. And they're like, let's get his number. And I don't think, and I think that was it.
I thought they had a falling out between
Brandon. Russell shows up to the reunion and is like, "Oh yeah, Brandon disrespected his family name or whatever." It's like, did he?
Oh, you're right. Okay, yeah.
But ultimately, we get a 6-3.
6-3-0.
With the only votes for coach being Rick, Edna, and Cochran, and all three of them make sense. Yeah, Edna, Rick, and Cochran. All of them make only because like Rick was probably never going to vote for a woman, but Rick was never going to vote for a woman. He was not going to vote for Albert because Albert was a sleazeball. Cochran, as much as Coach did take him under his wing. We've talked about the moment of them kind of, and then Edna, I think, is the other one where it's like Coach. She took Coach under her wing, and then he reciprocated. Those 3 votes make sense. Every other vote going for Sophie also makes sense, because I do feel like Ozzy felt really betrayed by Coach swearing on what he swore on and not doing it. I'm actually shocked that Rick did, and because when he gets voted out, he says he's going to vote for Ozzy, but I guess Ozzy's not there. But just vote for Albert then.
Right. I think also too, it's just so funny if Coach did not, promise basically Ozzy his left kidney that he was taking him to the final, and he goes, let's see if we get there, and then votes him out. I could see Ozzy swinging his people towards Coach because Ozzy's a very vindictive player, as we saw in 50. Like, they voted out Mike White and he hated Christian forever. And I think if Coach doesn't make that, like, I promise on God, I think Coach wins this season. I think he would have gotten at least 2 votes.
Look at the jury's faces whenever God gets brought up during Final Tribal. They're just like, they're so done with it that I think that really turns them off. Like, even if they were being swayed during it, the fact that it just keeps getting reiterated, it's like, yeah, even Whitney from Tennessee or wherever she's from, it's just like, nah, I'm good. I've heard enough. So ultimately, we get a Sophie win, and I think that her Winners at War game, and I'll talk about this in 2 weeks. I was convinced Sophie Clark was going to win Winners at War until
she was phenomenal that season.
Yeah, I love Sophie Clark. Will, I'll tell you a story after we go off the air. I already told Ava about it. But 2 final questions. 1, who would your ally be this season?
Oh God, Sophie, because she was spicy and she was really fucking smart. Like, I love how, I think it's like one of her opening confessionals where he was like, I know languages, and she's like, what languages do you know? He's like, Russian, and then he says it, and she goes, yeah, he says he knows Russian, but like what he just told me was like what you learn in a kid's book. Like, that was like her opening confession. I'm like, oh, she's fucking smart, and she has no problem calling bitches out, and that's a girl after my own heart. So
okay,
that'd be my ally.
Yeah, I would have to agree with everything you said about Sophie, because she also said Whitney like asked her a question about not being friendly in the final tribal, and she was like, well, I've been known to be like kind of like aggressive and standoffish, and I relate to that as Coach knows. But also I'm I'm an Aussie lover. He's so cute in my mind. I would have been drawn to him, and I just would have been like, yeah, I'll do what you say.
I mean, Ozzy is also a great ally because he's always going to be a shield before you. And he also, like, I mean, he gave Suri the extra vote in 50. You know what I mean? Like, he has no problem being like, if you're locked in with me, I fucking got you. So I think he also is a good ally. And I know he's going to get voted up before me every single time.
Mm-hmm.
So actually, he'd be a good ally too.
Yeah, Ozzy comes back as an old lesbian many years later, and it does very well.
Shambo, with the resurrection of Shambo in 50.
Yes, he comes back as an old lesbian. Yes, so he and he does well until he doesn't.
He does well until he's separated from Suri for 5 fucking seconds.
Yeah. Final question. Something that the modern day fandom would not like about Survivor South Pacific.
How they treat women. We kind of already went over this, but also the lack of like storylines for like Rick, like Edna, like even Sophie. It's not until like episode 14 we get like an in-depth view of Sophie.
Yeah.
And the religion. People are sensitive. Oh. Yeah.
Will?
Yeah, I would say, what the modern fandom I don't think would like is the uneven editing, because like when you look at the cast, like there are some bangers. Like Semhar was so interesting to me, where she was like, hey, before this duel, I'm gonna like do some slam poetry to calm me down. Like, and obviously they used it as more of like a comedic moment, but I think that's so interesting that like that's like, I want to know more about that. Like, where did that, like, what's the slam poetry? How does that calm you down? And like, and then the piece that she chose about, I would have 75 of his kids without epidural just to show that I love him. Like, it was so interesting, right? Christine, like this 45-year-old, she won 5 duels. Like, no one has done that. Like, that's interesting. Papa Bear, he was really hot, but I love a bear, right? Stacy was funny as fuck. Where is she? You know what I mean? Again, least boring as fuck. Michaela got such a shit deal. Keith, boring. Jim had, something. Dawn obviously came back. Whitney, whatever. Cochran, you know what I mean? Like, there's some really interesting people that really just got like shafted. Like Edna, like she was really interesting to me, and it was very clearly on by episode 2 that Edna was always on the bottom, and she never escaped that. Why though? Did she not realize she was on the bottom? Was she okay being on the bottom? These are things I want to know. So yeah, just the uneven editing was a problem for me, because it's like you did all this editing on Coach and Brandon for them to not even win. It's giving, a Samoa where it's like, we're going to give Russell Hantz 150 confessionals and Natalie 19, knowing that he doesn't win. Because the show's edited after it's filmed. They know who won. They looked at the fucking urn. They know Natalie won that season. And they're like, you know what? Never mind. No edit for her. Like, it was just weird. Well,
they're so notorious for not editing women well. So, but Adam.
Oh my God, yeah, it's horrible.
So, but to go off of that, I think that even at this point in time, I think 2011, 2012, like you said, I think he said 2011.
Yeah,
we still aren't as aware of just, for instance, the people that are on this season would not have passed a modern day Psyche Dell. I'll put it like that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Where, because we want as crazy television as possible, we're going to like kind of skip over very obvious red flags because, hey, it'll be fun. We'll watch him like creep on this woman and all this. I feel like post-COVID, it's like, no, it might lead to dull watches here and there, but like, at least we know we don't have people that are very clearly not in the right mindset.
No one's safety is being risked.
Yeah, because if you think about it, next season is 24. Colton, how the fuck did he get there? 25, Scoopin, hello. 26, Brandon again, literally gets quote unquote voted out / medevac because everyone felt that he was going to kill him. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's a very weird stretch you're about to go into.
Yes, starting with tomorrow with One World. Will, Ava, thank you both so much for taking the time to do this. Similar to yesterday, I did not expect South Pacific to go over an hour, but I'm so glad it did. I feel like we had a great conversation, and it definitely made today's watch worth it, I guess. As far as ranking of South Pacific now through 23 seasons, let's pull up the list. I have South Pacific at 19 out of 23.
Okay.
So that will be above Guatemala, Redemption Island, Nicaragua, and Thailand.
Wow, Guatemala's that low. Interesting. Okay.
And Guatemala's fine. Guatemala's fine. South Pacific, it was fine this time around. I didn't hate it as much as I have in the past. And that's all I'll say.
Interesting.
The
last list you sent me had Redemption Island over South Pacific.
Whoa. Well, I'm sorry to hear that. Will, where can we find Stranded and what's coming up with Stranded?
Yeah, so I run my own Survivor game, Stranded, 2-day Survivor game in Jersey. We are a player's game. We really focus on the strategy aspect. You come to us to test yourself strategically. We are a twist-heavy game. We are an advantage-heavy game. Unfortunately, we already finished casting for season 3, which plays in July. And then you can find us at Stranded LRG on YouTube, Stranded_LRG on Instagram. And we're releasing our preseason interviews for season 2, and also episodes for season 2 will be coming out shortly.
Thank you very much. Please tune in. It is one of my favorite LRGs, probably top 2. I think I've already told you that before, but yeah, Stranded is amazing. Please go and watch it, especially season 1. I think that's everything. So I will see you all tomorrow for Survivor One World.